Hi guys, so today I'm coming to you with a non-Star Wars review, but today I'm going to be reviewing Lovecraft Letter. We're going to take a look at this game. I absolutely love it so far, and I'm going to tell you why. Basically, this is a new version of Love Letter. Love Letter's been around for a long time. If you're not familiar with Love Letter, I'll kind of go over the basics of that as well, and then show you what this adds to the game. And it adds quite a bit. So let's take a closer look. Alright, so as we open the box, first thing I want to point out is that it's magnetically sealed here on the side. Now, the box itself actually looks much like a book based on H.P. Lovecraft's books and short stories about Cthulhu and various terrible elder gods and all things of that sort. The rulebook basically covers all of the original game as well as everything that this adds to it. And everything else is here in this very, very nice insert. One thing I noticed about this game is that it comes with sleeves. So it comes with really nice sleeves. They're actually metallic on the inside, and they have the same back as the card on the back. So these are custom sleeves specifically for this game. And another thing that's great about it is it comes with extra sleeves. So I put all the extra sleeves here underneath. So in case you happen to have a tear or something, your game isn't ruined. So it comes with a ton of extra sleeves. So that's really, really, really nice. I actually love that about this game. So it's definitely going to be great for a long time. It also comes with these chips, which are going to be used for determining who wins and as counters, basically. And they are double-sided. On one side we have our little Cthulhu, and on the other side we have an Elder Sign, and I'll explain what those do a little bit later. Now, first part, if you've never played Love Letter before, Love Letter is a card game where everybody's going to hold a single card in their hand, and that's the idea of trying to basically be the last person standing. There'll be a deck of cards in the middle, everybody gets one card, and then on their turn they're going to draw one and then play one. And the cards do everything, and every card has a number from 1 to 8. Okay, there are 5 1s in regular Love Letter, and then there's 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s, and 2 5s, and only 1 6, 7, and 8. And so the numbers do the same across every version of Love Letter for the most part. 1s lets you guess what somebody else has, and if they have it, they have to discard, and then they're out. 2s lets you look at what somebody else is in somebody else's hand, and in here, it'll tell you on the card itself what it does. It has the number at the top, and the name of the card is just something thematic based on the story of the game. In this case, you're trying to find your brother who got lost, and he left clues, and these cards kind of represent clues that you're using to try to find them. 3s lets you to compare your hand against somebody else's in secret, and the higher number wins and the lower player is kicked out. Now, Love Letter is a player elimination game, so you'll get eliminated, but the idea is that it plays so fast you play multiple rounds of the game, and so you keep track of the winners with these tokens. And so while you may get eliminated, if you just wait a minute, you're going to play in the next game. And so it's not about who wins, but it's about who wins the most if you play several games. It plays very, very quick. It can play as quickly as 30 seconds to 5 minutes or so. But usually the games are about a minute long. So it's very, very fun if you want to play a game a whole bunch of times in a short period of time, or if you're just not sure how much time you have. I absolutely love this game because I've been playing it with a bunch of guys in a very small space where we just didn't have a lot of room to play a big board game, so we've been playing Love Letter a ton lately. The 4s make you immune until it's your turn again. The 5s force somebody to discard their card and draw a new one, and then when you get into the ones where we only have 1, 6s basically allow you to swap hands with, or the 6, because there's only 1 6, allows you to swap hands with another player. A 7 doesn't do anything, but you have to discard it if you have certain other cards in your hand, like a 5 or higher. And then the 8 you can't discard. If you discard it, you lose. And in this case, the 8 is the Necronomicon. So and so they're all pretty pretty cool stuff. I'm not that familiar with Lovecraft stuff, but I am familiar with a lot of what they have here. So let's see here. What else is there to say about the basic game of Love Letter? It's kind of, if you're a card counter, you're going to be very good at this game because there's a lot of strategy that goes into it. They also have reference cards, which are going to just, if you're forgetting what all the different cards do, they have these reference cards. The base game of Love Letter plays 4 people, and this game, because it has more cards to it, this game can play up to 6. So what does this game add to Love Letter? And that's what we're going to talk about right now. Well, it adds some new mechanics. First thing that it adds, basically, is it adds a whole new slew of cards. And, of course, the 8 is Cthulhu, right? It adds 1 new card for every number. So instead of 5 ones, now you're going to have 6 ones. Instead of 2 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, you're going to have 3 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. And then instead of only 1, 6, 7, and 8, you're going to have 2 6, 7s, and 8s. But the new versions are going to be different. For example, let's compare the 8s. So I'm going to use the Necronomicon and compare that one to Cthulhu. So when we compare the Necronomicon to Cthulhu, we're going to notice a couple of things. First off, we're going to notice that the number is different. You see how it's like a green slimy? Okay, that's important because that is an insanity card. So what that means is if you play a card that has this and it's in front of you in your discard pile, you're going to be marked as insane. Okay, and that means you have to do a sanity check every turn. So one of the things that is going to happen, now granted this is a bad example because you can't actually discard Cthulhu because they have all the same rules as the other card, but they also have special rules underneath. For example, in Cthulhu's case, if you have 2 or more insanity cards in your discard pile, you win the game. If you don't, you're knocked out this round. So in this case, you could actually play Cthulhu and win the whole game, and that's really powerful because the whole game is not just the round. A round is a single game, but all of the games combined, the first person to get 3 Cthulhu tokens or 2 Elder Sign tokens wins the whole game. So that's actually a pretty big deal. But every other card, it has a different name. So the 8, that's the insane version of 8, isn't the same as the sane version of 8. And the other thing that's different too is you're going to keep your discards in front of you as opposed to just discarding to a center pile, because what each player discards is important. And the reason that's important is I'm going to start with the 1 here. You've got deep ones, right? It's the same as your normal one where you can guess a card, but if you're insane already, which means if you have at least 1 insanity card in your discard pile, you can choose to do the bottom part instead of the top part. And so this allows you to also guess 1s, because normally when you play a 1, you can't guess a 1. So that makes it way more powerful. And every card has an ability that's similar to what the other version does, but it also makes it more powerful when you play these insanity cards. The number 2 here, which is Golden Mead, normally lets you, normally a 2 would let you look at another person's hand. But this one lets you look at their hand, also lets you draw a card, and then lets you discard a card. So it does a whole lot more. The 3 normally lets you compare against somebody else, but this one, the Hound of, what is this, Tindalos, lets you actually just eliminate somebody outright if they're not insane. The 4 is my favorite one. The 4 is absolutely crazy. Normally a 4 makes you immune to anybody's effects until your next turn. But if you play the insane version, you can't be knocked out for the entire round. So you're immune to almost everything. The only way somebody else can beat you here is either to A, have a higher card number at the end of once all the cards are gone, they can just beat you by having a higher number than you, or to play some instant win effect. And there are some instant win effects, and we're going to talk about those. For one is Cthulhu, which we already talked about. The 5 normally makes somebody discard their card and draw a new one. But this one is different. This one, you get to choose another player, add their hand to yours, then add the Migo Brain Case to their hand and discard the card. Well, what's the Migo Brain Case? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to show you. It's a 0. This is another new thing about this. This is a whole nother card. It's the 0. Have you ever seen a 0 before? This doesn't actually get shuffled into the deck. This sits outside, and it's actually the worst possible card in the game. It makes you lose if you ever discard it. But on top of that, it's a 0. So you can't even compare it to anybody else and win that way. So normally, with like the 8s, for example, you can't discard them. But at the end of the game, if you have for the 8, you're still going to win because you have the highest. So it's kind of risk versus reward. This is all risk and no reward. So then we'll put that in somebody else's hand. The 6, which normally lets you trade hands with somebody, who this is Nyarlathotep. Oh gosh, I'm probably murdering that name. But this is really great the more people you have, because it lets you collect the hands of all the players, all the other players, and redistribute them. It doesn't let you to add your own hand to the mix, so you can't mix your card with the cards that you're collecting from everybody else. So even against only one other player, it still could let you look at the other person's hand. But here's an example where you might want to choose, because you don't have to go with the green version if you're insane. Although if this is the first, if you have only sane cards in your discard pile, you can't go with the bottom option. You have to already have a green card in there before you play your card. So that's a 6. We've got a 7 here. Now the 7 normally you can't do anything with, right? If you're holding another card that's higher than 4, you have to discard the 7. But this one, if you're already insane, well now if you're holding that, you automatically win. So this gives you an instant win condition, which is very nice. And then if Cthulhu gives you the ultimate win condition, where you could be behind, everybody else could be on the verge of winning their 3rd game, you could have no wins and then play this and then just completely trump everybody else. It's also noted that it's really hard to do that, and I'll tell you why. Because there's another new thing that it adds, is if you have cards in front of you, I'm going to shuffle these up and I just spilled some on the floor, but if you have insanity cards in your discard pile and therefore you are insane, you have to do something called a insanity check. So let's say this was my discard pile in front of me. I had a 5, a 3, and a 2, but the 5 is insane. I have to do a sanity check. So before I draw my card, I have one card in my hand. Before I draw, I have to put one more card into my discard pile. If it's also a green or an insanity card, I'm instantly knocked out. Okay. Now, if I have multiple insanity cards in my discard pile, for every one I have to do a separate sanity check for. So if I had 3, I'd have to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm safe. But the thing is, you have like a 30% chance of getting one based on what's in the deck. So it becomes more and more risky to be insane and to keep playing insanity cards. The other thing that's really dangerous about this is if you were to pull the Necronomicon, for example, and that goes there, well, that counts as having discarded it. And it clarifies all of the cards and their interactions in the rulebook too, in case you have any questions of like, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? It clarifies all of that. So now I want to talk about the tokens. So it's the first to 3 Cthulhu tokens or the first to 2 Elder Sign tokens. And the difference between the two is if you win the game and you are insane, or you have at least one insanity card in your discard, you get a Cthulhu side up token. But if you win the game and you have no insanity cards in your discard pile, instead you get an Elder Sign token. So the Elder Sign token is better because it only takes 2 of those to win. But the tricky part is that when you manage, you find yourself in a situation where you have 2 Cthulhu wins, and then you happen to get a win without insanity, and now you have an Elder Sign. Well, you have 3 tokens, but you still don't have enough to win because you either need a 1/3 of these or a 2nd of these. You can't combine them in that manner. So what else does this game come with? I mentioned you have the reference card. Every version of Love Letter I've seen comes with a reference card already, but the cool thing about this one is that when you flip this one over, it's got a full reference card for all of the special powers for the insanity cards as well. So, and there's 6 of these, so it supports 6 players. Very, very fun game. It plays really, really well with just about any number. The worst number to play it with is 2, but you still can, and the only difference really is that you flip over 3 cards in addition. Also, one thing I didn't mention is if you are playing any version of Love Letter, after you deal out all the cards, you take 1 card and you set it aside and remove it from the game. So people don't know with absolute certainty what is left. So for the people who want to count cards, they will always still have a little bit of uncertainty there. But that is Lovecraft Letter. I absolutely love it. Love it. Get it. So that's Lovecraft Letter. I absolutely love this game. I've been playing it a ton here, and well, I've been in Kansas City. If you haven't noticed, my background is a little different right now, but I'm kind of on the road right now, so doing reviews while I'm traveling and I had to do one for this game. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. And as always, guys, please subscribe and have a wonderful day.